Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So we have done with the previous module, growth and development. Now we'll start with a new module, that is social sector. Okay, so social sector, this is our 10th module, I think. So each module we have covered around 7-8 lectures. Okay, so far we have completed around 70 to 80 lectures in economy itself. So social sector, in this module I'll be talking mainly about inequalities. So first chapter will be about inequalities. I'll try to cover all those important ratios like quintile ratio, decile ratio, Palma ratio. You might have heard Lorenz Curve, Gini Coefficient. All these important concepts which can be asked in prelims will cover in this particular lecture. And then we will talk about poverty. So inequality we will do first. Inequalities. And then we will talk about poverty. So there I'll be talking about the different types of poverty, and most importantly estimation of poverty, like Lakadwala committee, okay, the expert groups, Suresh Tendulkar committee we will discuss, and we will also talk about Rangarajan committee. We'll make the comparison and the methods that they have followed, mixed recall period, uniform mixed recall period, and all those things we will cover. Okay, what are key nation unemployment, and all those things can be asked. And then we will also talk about the measurement of unemployment, the current weekly status, daily status, and all those things we will cover. Okay, so this is how we are planning this lecture, this particular module. I'll be taking 5 lectures. So inequality 1 session, poverty 2 sessions, unemployment 2 sessions. So we'll complete this particular module, social sector. Apart from that, I don't think that you need to read anything else for this particular area, and this is there directly in your syllabus. So everything will be covered related to inequalities, poverty, and unemployment. So let's get start with inequality. If you remember, in the previous session we have just discussed about this when we discussed about IHDI. Okay, even in HDI also we have discussed about inequality, and one of the positive in capital formation also we have talked about inequality, and one of the positive of inequality that we have discussed is actually it promotes savings. Okay, so inequality, the savings will increase. So this is actually the positives, and because of that investments will be good. So all those things we have discussed. I'm not getting into that. And if you remember, we have also discussed about a prelims question which was asked last year related to low tax GDP ratio. The reasons for low tax GDP ratio. Low tax GDP ratio, and the options, one of the option, I don't remember all the options, but one of the option was inequality. Inequality is so high inequality. So see, in this low tax GDP ratio is a kind of negative one. So students generally take a negative answer from the options. Other options were positive, considerably positive. So this one was the negative one. So most of the students actually picked this as the correct answer. Now there are debates which are going on between this answer, whether it is correct or wrong. See, there are different versions you will see when it comes to the prelims answer. Some answers will be theoretically correct, some will be practically correct. But what we need to do, in case if there is a dilemma between theoretically correct and practically correct, what we need to go is actually what is there in the books. That means what is theoretically correct is what we need to follow. So inequality is high. What does that mean? High inequality means will you get more tax or less tax? Especially country like India, where we have a progressive system. Progressive tax system means income, the tax base. Okay, the different tax slabs are there. Tax rates are high in different tax slabs. Okay, so if your income is high, the tax rate will be high. So what do you think? Tax will be more or less if inequality is high. I'll give you an example. Let's suppose there are two people, A and B. Person A's income is 2.5 lakh. Person B income is 2.5 lakh. Okay, as per till last year, it was like 2.5 lakh is your income. It is exempted. So he is exempted. So you don't want to pay tax. This is a very equal society. Two people are there. Both are earning the same. So government is getting nothing in this case. Now imagine the same income. That means total 5 lakhs. Is earned only by A. So A is earning 5 lakhs, so B is earning 0. There is a maximum inequality you can see here. So here how much government will get? Government get nothing from this person as he is not earning anything. But from this 5 lakh, for the first 2.5 lakh you don't want to pay anything. Rest of the 2.5 lakh you need to pay 25,000 as the tax. So government is getting 25,000 in the second case. That means theoretically, if inequality is there, that means there are people earning income more. There are people who are earning more income. So they will come under high tax rates. they won't be in the excluding sections. Okay, so actually government will get more tax. So theoretically, low tax to GDP ratio, the tax collection is low not because of inequality. If inequality is there, theoretically you are supposed to get more tax. I hope this is clear for all of you. But practically there are different versions. If tax rates are high, you may try to evade tax, you may not pay tax, so government is not getting tax. In all those ways you can counter, but what is in book is what you need to get. So this is not an answer. I hope this is clear for all of you. This one was the doubt for many students, so I've got a lot of message related to this particular question. That's why I've explained it again. So let's start with inequality. Today's session, what do you mean by inequality? Let me write down the definition first. It refers to differences in income or expenditure levels of various sections of society. So difference between income or expenditure levels of various sections of society. Difference in income or difference in expenditure, almost both are same. We know 1% of the rich people is having, or they are with the possession of around 58% of the wealth. Okay, that shows high inequality. I'll give you some NSSO data also. So as per NSSO, the poorest 20%, their cumulative expenditure is 8.1%. So 20% they are spending 8.1%, and the richest 20% is spending 44.7%. So this is something which you need to keep in mind, because we will be talking about some important ratios here. Okay, see here we have taken poorest 20 and richest 20. That means the top 20 and the bottom 20 is what we are taking. So when you're taking this poorest 20 and richest 20, the question is, are you taking the median or mean? Okay, so here what do you mean by mean? Mean is actually the average, but I've already told you many times that average, when you're taking, there are a lot of problems. So here we actually take mean. The reason is, if you see, if you take median is actually the positional average. If you know some maths, okay, mean, even if you don't know maths, no problem here. Mean is actually the average. That means total. You will take the poorest 20, the entire expenditure you'll take divided by the number of people. Similarly, richest 20%, you'll take the total income divided by population is what you're supposed to take. That is mean. But median is actually the middle value is what you're going to take. So here, which one is better? Let's say if you take 1, 2, 3. Let's suppose 3 people are there. 1, 2, 3 are their income. So if you take the average, you will see 2. Okay. Similarly, if you see here mean and median both are same, right? Mean, if you take 6 divided by 3, that is 2. Middle value is also 2. But let's say if it is 1 to 33, if this is the case, when you take the mean, what will happen? 33 plus 2 plus 1, that is 36. 36 divided by 3, you'll be getting 12. What is median? Median is 2. So median is a middle value. Median is actually 2. This is mean. So these two are actually earning very much less than 12, but we are writing it 12 because of this particular person. See, Mukesh Ambani is earning huge income. So when you're taking per capita income, his income is also counted along with the poor people. But is that a correct understanding? No. So here what we do is, we'll take the median. We won't take the mean. So middle value is what we're going to take. We are not going to take the average. The reason, I hope you understood. And now, what do you mean by mode? Mode is like what is the number which is repeated more times. Like when you're talking about a class, the shoe size of the students. Mostly it will be like 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of this, what is the maximum repeated value? It will be like 8. Okay, like that is what mode. So I hope you understood mean, median, mode. But in case of these calculations, we are always taking median. The problem with mean, you understood when we calculated HDI also. I've told you the problem with mean, average, and then we shifted to geometric mean from arithmetic mean from 2010 onwards. because when you take geometric mean, it is more sensitive to inequality. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about quintile ratio. So quintile ratio. Quintile ratio means I'll be talking about the poorest 20 and richest 20. So in the top numerator, it is richest 20, income of richest 20% divided by income of poorest 20%. Okay, see, there are different ratios. Quintile ratio, if you take this quintile ratio, if you take decile ratio, it will be like 10-10. Division will be there. You can take quartile ratio, that is 25-25. So different ratios are there. 0.1. So let me calculate this. 44.7 divided by 8.1. 5.5. Okay, so now what do you mean this quintile ratio? More or less is better. Less is better. More, the higher the ratio means more inequality, because numerator will be so high, right? So it will be always better to have a less quintile ratio, whatever it is, quartile or decile or whatever it is always better to have a lesser ratio. Second important ratio is Palma. You might have heard this. In case of Palma ratio, there is a small difference from the quintile ratio. Here, income of richest 10% and income of poorest 40%. Now you see there is a huge difference here, big difference here, 10 in the numerator and 40 here. The reason is, I'll give you the value of India. India Palma ratio is actually 1.4. What does that mean? The richest 10%, how will you interpret India's Palma ratio is 1.4? The interpretation is like this: the richest 10% is earning 1.4 times more than poorest 40%. So you take 40% poorest, their income into 1.4 is the income earned by the richest only 10%. That is how you interpret. Now why it is 10 and 40? Because this is actually the concept given by Gabriel Palma. In his opinion, if you divide into different deciles, decile means 10, 10, 10, 10. So after the first decile, then from 6th onwards, right? Income of poorest 40 means 7, 8, 9, 10. So between 2 and 6, income is more or less same. There won't be much inequality. That so-called middle class, there won't be much fluctuations or differences. So the maximum inequality could be seen if you take the income between these two people. So inequality will be better captured if you go for Palma ratio or income of 10 and income of 40. Okay, so he observed that the share of 5th to 9th decile population remains relatively stable. So inequality will be better reflected between 10% rich and 40% poor. I hope it is clear for all of you. So that's about Palma ratio. Next is the most important one. Always the question is asked from Lorenz curve. I'll tell you how to draw this Lorenz curve also, and we'll see how India's Lorenz curve is drawn. Okay, Lorenz curve. So it is actually given by MD Lorenz. It's a graphical method of showing inequality. So we will have to draw the graph here. So what you need to do is, first you make a square, a proper square you make. A proper square is what you need to make first. Okay, and then the middle you can divide, this divide, and here also you divide. X-axis and y-axis exact on the center you cut. Then what you need to do is make 4 divisions in each part. Okay, like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you can now do is, you have to write this 10%, this is 0, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and this is 100. So this middle will be 50%. Okay, so the top will be 100. Then you can fill it properly. Just to fill it up properly only, I have told you, cut it in the middle and 4, 4, 4, 4. So here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90, 100%. Okay, now you need to draw a 45-degree line. 45-degree line is nothing but the line of absolute equality. This is the diagonal. 45-degree line is the diagonal. So if you come in this particular line, this shows line of absolute equality. Line of absolute equality. If you remember when we discussed about data interpretation in our CAT classes, I've drawn many times this line of absolute equality. No, in that case, I've told about x equal to y line, because in case of profit and loss, in case of export, import, deficits and everything, it is very helpful if you draw this line to get, whether it is profit, whether it is loss. If it is coming under the line, it is loss. If it is coming above the line, it is surplus. All those things we have discussed, and that was actually a shortcut. Here also, here we are not going to use that. Here this is something which we are going to use in a different way. Okay, it's not data interpretation anyway. So here, these are the poor people, these are the rich people. Now here on the x-axis, there is nothing but cumulative percentage of population. Cumulative percentage of population. Here it is cumulative y-axis, cumulative percentage of income. So we have done with the square. Okay, so it's actually a percentage diagram. Okay, that's why we are drawing the square. So we are trying to understand it in a square. 100% complete, percentage of population and percentage of income. What do you mean by cumulative? See, it is simple. If you see the population and income, so if you see population and income, let's say the poorest 0 to 10%, they are earning 3%. Okay, so 10% of the people earning 3%. If you see 10 to 20% earning 5%. So if I ask you poorest 10%, they are earning 3%. Poorest 20%, now you have to see this cumulative 3 and 5, 8. So 20% earning 8. That's what you mean by cumulative percentage of population and cumulative percentage of income. For another case, 20 to 30, if they are earning 7, so you have to say 3 plus 5 plus 7. That is 15% is the cumulative income of 30% of the poorest. So that is clear. So that is what you mean by cumulative. Now let's draw the graph of India. We have this value already, right? Poorest 20 we know. NSSO data only. Poorest 20 we know. Richest 20 we know. So let's try to draw that. So we have the poorest 20. Poorest 20, what is that? Poorest 20, 8.1%. Richest 20, income is 44.7%. We know this already. So poorest 20, this is the poor. So we can quote from here, poorest 20% here, their income is 8.1. So we can easily mark that point somewhere here. So we have marked the poorest 20. Now richest 20, how can you mark? It is difficult to mark. So rather what you can do is, from richest 20, what you can get the poorest 80. Richest 20 is 44.7. So balance 55 will be the poorest 80, right? So from here we will be getting poorest 80. That will be 55%. 45%, richest 20 means balance will be poorest 80. Rest of the 80% will be sharing 55. So poorest 80 means we can go from here, and where is 55? It will come here. So we will be marking that point somewhere here. So we got 2 points. Now 0% earning 0. Now that also we know, 0% earning 0 and 100% earning all the 100. So we got all the 4 points, 0.1, 8.1, 0.2, 55, 0.30, 0.400. So this is 0, this is 8.1, this is 55, and this is 100. So connecting all this, now you're going to draw this line, and this is the Lorenz curve of India. I hope this is clear. Now this gap, this is what shows you what the inequality. Okay, the line between the Lorenz curve and the absolute equality, that area that shows inequality. So I hope this is clear. This shaded region is what the inequality. So more the deviation from XY line or that line of absolute equality, more inequality will be there. Or if you want, you can take one more country, another country XYZ. There, poorest 20, let's say 5%, and richest 20, let's say 70%. Richest 20, 70% means we have to get poorest 80. Poorest 80 will be 30%. So we got this value 5 and 30, and 0% earning 0, 100% earning 100. So we can mark that points as well. So poorest 25%, right? So we'll have to get that point here, 5%. Poorest 80, 30%. So poorest 80, we will be marking it here. So when you draw this curve, you'll be getting this curve. So you can see more deviation from XY line, so shows maximum inequality. So I hope this is clear. Deviation from XY line is what is the inequality. More deviation, more inequality, less deviation, less inequality. So which is better? Less deviation from that diagonal is actually better. That shows less inequality. So this is about Lorenz curve. I don't think there will be any doubt. There is no need to have any doubt. We have shown all these nowhere else. Okay. Next is Gini coefficient. Very important. Gini coefficient. So Gini coefficient is actually an arithmetic concept of understanding inequality, which is based on Lorenz curve. It is actually given by Corrado-Gini. Gini. It is an arithmetic measure of inequality based on Lorenz curve. So Gini coefficient is expressed in terms of G, expressed with this letter G. G is equal to that area between 45-degree line, okay, and the Lorenz curve. So there is an area here. You can see here this area between 45-degree line and Lorenz curve, okay, divided by area below 45-degree line. That means this total area, okay. So let me write that. Area between 45-degree line, that means the diagonal, and Lorenz curve. This is nothing but your shaded region divided by that diagonal entire bottom region, okay. That means actually half of the square, okay. So area below 45-degree line. Now see here in exam, if the examiner is simply asking you area between 45-degree line and Lorenz curve, numerator is correct, and in the denominator if they are simply giving you to make you confused area above 45-degree line, it is also correct. It is not necessary that this word below you need to get. Why? It is correct. Mathematically it is correct. Why? Because this area below 45-degree line and area above 45-degree line both are equal. This area and this area are equal. So area below 45-degree line or area above 45-degree line both are actually correct. So that confusion also should not be there, okay. So value of G will be varying between 0 and 1, and India's value 0.336, that means 33.6%, okay. So that's about inequality. So I hope you have understood the Palma ratio, quintile ratio, and decile, quartile. Many different ratios are there. How Palma ratio is different from quintile ratio, because inequality is more captured in Palma ratio, okay, and lesser the value is always better in all those cases. We have understood the most important one, Lorenz curve, and Gini coefficient, which is actually an arithmetic concept which is based on Lorenz curve. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here. This is my Instagram ID or the Facebook, or you can get me here, and you can join the Telegram channel for all the videos that we have done so far. Okay, so see you guys.